Hey guys, and happy Wednesday. So for today, I'm going to be using these two little Dollar Tree chalkboards. Initially, I was going to use the bigger ones, but decided that these would work better. So I went ahead and pre-drilled some holes in there just because I didn't want to do it while we were on camera because I had to take them outside. So I just did it in advance. And so yeah, I'm going to be using two of these. And what I'm going to be doing is making kind of a junk journal, just a journal. It doesn't necessarily have to be a journal. And I'll be using some pretty random items. And I say random because the items were chosen by these lovely ladies that I'm showing you here on the screen. I'm doing a challenge called She Did What with Dollar Tree items, and it's hosted by Chantel over at Crafty Hints by Chantel. And she joined six of us together. We each chose an item from Dollar Tree, and we each have to use all six items to craft with and make some DIYs with. Those items are, like I said, they're all from Dollar Tree, and they are chalkboard, stickers, yarn, a shower curtain, foam tray, and placemat. So again, I chose these chalkboards and I'm going to be using this shower curtain right here. And all I did was go ahead and cut it down to size. And I tried to get a piece that had all three colors on there because the placemat that I'm going to be using has these colors on it also. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to kind of cut the corners off of this so that I can fold the pieces over. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it is going to be covered up, but you just go ahead and cut some squares on each corner, and that way you can fold it over and it's not like super bulky in the corners. I'm going to be using this Fabrifix, but you can use whatever type of glue whatever you have on hand. I was using this hopeful that it would work because I use it on all my journals, but then I realized, okay, this is plastic and not fabric. But hey, it worked great and it's sticking and it hasn't come off yet, so I'm happy. So I went ahead, glued all the corners down, just kind of made sure everything was smoothed out. And anything that's not perfect, you can fix as you go. But I'm going to go ahead and use my journaling tools here, and I'm just going to poke a hole where I drilled the holes in the chalkboard. I'm just going to poke through the shower curtain just so that that hole is visible and I don't have to search for it when I'm going to sew on, the yarn. Now, Dollar Tree does have these tools here that have the same pointy, bleh, I don't know what I'm trying to say. They have the same tools that you can use to poke holes in there. I just chose to use the ones that I purchased on Amazon. I'll have the link for that down in the description box. And it's a whole journaling kit or bookbinding kit. And it was very, very, decently priced, very affordable. So I'll link that down below. And next thing that I'm going to use on the list are these foam trays, and I'm just going to cut them down to size, and they're going to be a little bit smaller than a chalkboard, but you can do whatever you want. I'm just cutting off the curved edges on the tray. So if you are coming over here from the playlist, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. I hope you stick around, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and just comment down below and let me know that you're coming over here from the playlist. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. And guys, I hope that you like this. And, let me know down in the description box or in the comments, if this is something that you do like or, what you think I could have done differently. But I was trying to use all of the items that we had to use in one project. And I think I did a pretty good job. Again, to each his own. You may not like this type of stuff, and that's fine. And you can always switch this type of stuff around. These are great gifts for people, anybody that that likes to journal or do anything like that. These would be great gifts, especially with the holidays coming up. And this is definitely, to me, is really relaxing and just a little bit different than doing like regular DIYs. And that's probably why I've been doing them so much lately. I'm not turning this into a paper crafting channel or anything like that. But, my craft room is in disarray right now because I'm kind of moving things around, and all my paper crafts are just right there and easily accessible. And again, it's very relaxing for me, and I've needed that here recently. So I'm just trying to keep myself sane, and this really tends to do it for me. So that's why I've been doing this. And I just like using, different items to make journals and stuff. I think it's fun. So I went ahead and I cut the foam trays down to size, and then I'm going to use the chalkboard just to use as a guide to make the holes into the styrofoam, just so that everything lines up and everything, so I'm not trying to figure out where the holes are going to go once I put everything together. So I'm just trying to, pre-punch everything so that it's easier for me down the road. And so once I'm done doing that, I'm going to move on to the next step. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure I cover this, because that little piece that's there to cover the needle point was really, really small and I kept losing it and I poked myself a lot. So I wanted to make sure I covered that up. Anyway, that's just a side note there. So then the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to cover up the chalkboard there, like the part that had the shower curtain on it, so that that part with the shower curtain doesn't. Oh, that's not what I'm doing next. Sorry, I really thought that was the next step. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get the stuff to fill the journal, like all my journal pages. So I'm just using stuff, like I said, that I have in my stash. I love using book pages in my journals. I know that seems kind of weird because they're already, they have words on them. And I'll show you what I do for that here in just a second. But I just love using book pages, and I love pages like this that kind of have blank space on them because it works out. It gives some decoration, but you also have a space to write on. And then I found this in the mail. It was just like an advertisement. I just love how it looks like a bill of sale or like a statement. And I just like that it's written in, but it's no personal information on there. So that's why I'm using that. Then I got this like ledger book from a thrift store, and I love the color of it. It looks very vintage, and I just like, I just thought it would look good in a journal. And then I did forget one thing, and that's probably what I'm thinking of right here. But I'm going to go ahead and just cut all the pages down so that they fit, inside the journal. And you can tear them, you can cut them, you can do whatever you want. I mean, obviously, because it's your journal. And I do have this tearing ruler that I made. And basically all it is just little cheap plastic ruler, and you can take your needle nose pliers or some scissors and you just cut some little chunks of it out, and that way when you set it against some paper and you tear it, it just gives it a more like worn look to it. But of course, if you don't like that look, just use a regular ruler or use some scissors and just do a straight edge. You can use the like decorative scissors that kind of cut the designs into them. You can do whatever you want. But I really, really love tearing the pages like this. And another thing that I like to use is this art pad from the Dollar Tree, and it's like I think I found this one where the books are at. It's on the bottom shelf because it's so big, but the paper in it, it's kind of like that beige look, so it does have like that vintage thing going. It tears really good, and they're a little bit on the thinner side, but they work perfectly for journals and whatnot. So definitely a good pickup, especially for $1. You get a lot of paper for $1. So guys, I'm gonna put all the information for the challenge in the description box. So be sure to hit that playlist link. Check everybody else out and see what they did with the same items that I have here, because you're going to get a lot of inspiration. And I just think it's interesting to see what everybody comes up with using, how amazing it is that people have like such different ideas for the same items. So definitely check them out. Let them know I sent you. And again, if you're coming over here from the playlist, welcome and thank you so much for stopping by. All right, so for the next thing, or the next step, I'm going to go ahead. I just got this pancake mix box, and you can use any, if you have chipboard, you can use chipboard, you can use cardstock, anything, you want. I just picked this because it looked like it was the right size, and it really was. It was almost perfect. Then I ended up just kind of cutting it down, getting all those edges off of there, and just cutting it to the size that I wanted. You could have just, I could have just done it so that it was the size of the chalkboard and then kind of cut the rounded edges. But I decided I wanted some of the design from the shower curtain to show, so I ended up cutting it down just a little bit smaller and gave it a little bit less than like 1/2 inch all the way around. But again, this is up to you. You can make it as big or small as you want, and just, cut it down to the size that you want. But again, I wanted some of that shower curtain to kind of show off the edges there. So I went ahead and trimmed it down just a little bit so that that would be showing. Then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and glue. What I do after this is I go ahead and glue that on there. And what I'm going to use is just that same Fabrifix, and it worked like a charm. It worked great. You know, it stuck on there, it didn't come off, and I love this stuff. I use it for just about anything and it works great. So you just go ahead and slap some on there, and it sticks fast, but it gives you just enough time to kind of, if you have to adjust a little bit. But once it's stuck, and you know, that's it. I mean, you can tear it off if you want to, but it, you know, like I said, it gives you some wiggle room right at the beginning, but once it sets, that's it. So I went ahead, just glued this on there, and then I took my little tool and I went ahead and poked the holes through there again, and I was just cutting off some extra shower curtain there that was just kind of sitting there. But I'm just going to take my tool and go ahead and poke the holes again. I just wanted them to be poked through, so I'm not trying to do it right before I'm going to sew it, and I could just kind of get my needle through there without having to, you know, worry about poking the hole through it. So then once I'm done doing that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next step. And honestly, I don't remember what I did next. I'm trying to remember. I think I was going to move on to the insides of the journal, and then I realized that I hadn't used all my items yet. So I had to go ahead and figure out what I was going to do with this placemat. Now, initially, I was going to use the placemat as a journal cover, and then I don't know what made me change my mind. I really don't. I just decided not to do that. So then what I decided was I wanted to cover one of the sides of the back chalkboard, or like what was going to be my back cover. And I just decided to go ahead and cover that up. So what I'm going to do is kind of trace it out and then cut it out. Of course, if you wanted to use this as a journal cover, like as your cover, it would work great, and you know, you can poke through it pretty easily. And yeah, it would work great as a journal cover. I just decided that I didn't want to do that. So I went ahead and used it just to cover, like I said, one side of the chalkboard. And I started off with a pencil and that didn't work. So I had to switch over to a pen and go ahead and trace it with a pen. So I'm grabbing my pen and I'm just going to go ahead and trace around that. That worked a lot better and it was much easier. And you can cut it however you want to. You can use your X-Acto knife or scissors or whatever whatever you have on hand. I use my scissors for this because I didn't think I was gonna be able to cut those corners very well with the X-Acto knife. And this piece has the sticky part from like the label that was on the placemat. And that's why I use this piece, just because I didn't really care, because that's going to be glued down anyway. So I just went ahead and I cut it out with my scissors. And again, usually I can't cut straight lines, but I did really good with this one. I'm really proud of myself. I even got the corners cut perfectly and everything. So I just went ahead and cut those up, or cut that piece out. And then I glued that onto my chalkboard. Now, I used my Gorilla Glue gel, like crazy glue gel, or I forgot what they call it. I'll show you here in a second. But I used my gel and I absolutely love that glue. But I will say that it sets just almost instantly. So when you do this, sorry, I'm like blah, 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 tongue-tied. When you, or if you decide to use it, just know that you only really get one chance to glue it down. And here is where I'm deciding in my head whether I want this to be my front or my back. And I think I decided that I like it better as my front cover, just because it's so pretty. I mean, this placemat is so pretty and I want to use it for another journal. So what I'm going to do is save that other piece and probably make a smaller journal out of it. Now, again, I'm using this glue and I love it. It's some good glue, but I can't even get it to show you. It's super glue gel. Guys, this stuff is so sticky. So I'm almost out. I need to buy another one. And I do have another one somewhere in my craft room, but again, it's a hot mess right now, so I can't find it, especially something this small, please. I'll never find it down there. But so what you want to do is just kind of cover it all up. Make sure you get those edges. I think I forgot one of those little edges and I went back and put some more on there. But my finger got stuck on the bottom, just to show you how quick that stuff sets. So yeah, just you really only get one shot, and you're gonna see here that I kind of messed up. I thought I had it where I wanted it, and I think it must have moved, or I must have set it down the wrong way because it wasn't on there right. But it's okay, you can fix it. I tried to pull it off and I tried to like move it over and it just wasn't working. I was so upset. But I didn't want to like pull the whole thing off. It was already starting to like right there. It's set. It wasn't coming up. So I just went ahead, made sure it was all kind of secure down there, and I just trimmed the edges of the, of the placemat, just trimmed it. And then I did take my little hand sander and kind of sanded the pieces down right there that where the chalkboard was showing. I mean, there's just nothing else that I could have done at this point because it was done. That was it. It was it was stuck. So I just went ahead and trimmed it all down. And then I took my tool, poked the hole through it again, just so that, I don't have to worry about trying to find the holes when I'm sewing. And I am going to be using the yarn to sew this together. I thought about using like the rings that they have at the Dollar Tree, but I just decided, you know what, I can sew it together and it works just fine. I love the way that it looks. I love the texture that the yarn gives it. And now what I'm doing is I'm just going to go ahead and kind of organize the pages how I want them, kind of get them together how I want them. And there's no rhyme or reason. You just kind of put the pages in there however you want. And see, like I said, I like these pages that kind of have some blank space in there. That way it gives some space to write. And then I'm using the little foam plate pieces that I cut out kind of as a front and a back to kind of hold everything, I guess hold everything in place, or kind of show you start from beginning. And if you want to add more pages, then you can just add them in between there, or this can be like a signature and then you can just add, more signatures or whatever. But yeah, sorry for the how bright it is. It's all white, so it's kind of just reflecting all that color there, but I mean all the light. So again, I'm just poking the holes through all the pages, and I kind of make a little bit of a mistake coming up here next, but it's not a big deal. It's not a bad mistake. It's just I shouldn't have taken those clips off, because then you have to realign the holes. So anyway, not a big deal. You have to realign them. So there's that. So then what I'm doing is just taking a little bit of that paper from the art pad that I got from the Dollar Tree and just adding it to the book page, just so that there's something to write on. The whole page has letters on it, so there's nothing to write on. I guess if you wanted to, whoever gets it can kind of do their own thing on there. But I just always like to have something on there that you can write on, like just some blank space that you can write on. And this can be, a quick journal day. Now for pages like this where it's all letters, you can also just kind of go through and find some letters or find some words to highlight that kind of make a sentence. But, that's totally up to you. That's just one way to journal that day. If you decide you just don't feel like writing anything, just go through and highlight some words that kind of form a sentence for you, or highlight words on how you feel if you happen to find any on that page. And see here, I just have to kind of realign the pages. I should have just left the clips on there and worked around the clips, but I didn't. So I'm just going to go ahead, realign them and reclip them. That way, when I'm sewing it, everything stays in place. So see, I'm just kind of an extra step there, but it's okay. No big deal. Something that is easily, fixable. And I just love the way that this looks. And I'm definitely going to be making another journal using these placemats. Now guys, yarn and thread and the bane of my existence. I can never find the beginning. This one was not that bad. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh my god, not again. But this one I found the end of it pretty quickly. So next thing I'm gonna do is use one of these big needles that came in my bookbinding kit or my journaling kit. And All you have to do is I should have just rolled it to begin with, but what you're going to do is kind of roll the yarn so that it fits through the hole there. But they have something that comes in the kit that you can use to thread the needle. I didn't have it on hand, so I just did it this way and it works just fine. Now guys, if you don't have, excuse me, one of these journaling kits, you can find like this little sewing kit from the Dollar Tree, like in the hair section. They're used obviously so people can do like sew-ins and whatnot, but they are perfect for this. They come with some thread already and they come with, I believe, 3 needles. I've shown them in different DIYs and journal DIYs that I've done. They work perfectly. I mean, they work perfect. And for $1, excuse me, you cannot beat it. So definitely, don't go out there spending all the money on the journaling kits if you don't have it. Try this out first. Try that Dollar Tree hair kit out first and see how you like it. Because like I said, it works perfect. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm not an expert. I'm telling you, I'm not an expert at this at all. If you want to learn how to bind a journal better than this, there's definitely other videos out there to watch, but this is what I do and it works for me. This is just one way. And the reason that I'm doing it this way and not the way that I usually do it is because of the hard cover, the chalkboard. It's really hard, so I couldn't bind it the way that I wanted to or that I usually do. So I just went ahead. So you start off doing one circle or one circle, one loop around the top, what's it called? The top holes. Guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Then you go through the back of the middle hole. You do one, loop around, go around. You'll see what I'm talking about here. So it's going to look like this. And then you do want to tie that first one. I forgot to do that. I had to do it at the end and it was a lot harder. But you want to make sure that you tie that first one so it doesn't come apart. So then what you're going to do is just do another loop around that middle one so that so that it holds together. And then once you're done doing that, I'm going to show you here, but what you're going to do is you're not going to go around, stick it through the loop another time. What you're going to do is you're going to go around the back and take your needle and go underneath the loop that you have there so that you can go to the next hole. And I have the tools to like the thimble and all that stuff. I don't use all that stuff. I don't know why, but I don't always use it. I should, but I don't. All right, so this part, what I'm going to do is just take my needle, go underneath there. You're not going to put it through the hole again. You just go underneath, and that way you can go through the back of the other hole there. You want to start from the back. You don't want to start from the front. So then you just go ahead, do the same thing again, and you're going to go through the little holes that are already, punched through. These last ones were giving me the flux. I could not get the stupid needle through. I don't know why. I don't know if it wasn't lined up. I don't know if I just wasn't hitting, the right piece. I don't know. It just wasn't working. It was giving me a hard time. But I was able to get it through. It was user error. I wasn't putting it in the right spot. I had my book. It wasn't aligned, so it was my fault. I don't know what I was thinking. I just must not have been paying attention. But anyway, so you're just going to do the same thing, pull it through. You're going to make a loop, and then you're going to just cut the string or the yarn or whatever you use in the back. So you're going to make the loop. Let me see. I don't know. I'm not really good at explaining this part, but you're going to go through, make the loop as I'm doing here. And it was a little bit harder for some reason. I'm not sure what was going on. Maybe I didn't make the hole big enough and it wasn't working. I have no idea, but it was giving me a hard time and I was getting very frustrated. I wanted to step away and take a breath, but then I also wanted to hurry up and finish this. So yeah. So anyway, so you make the loop and then you just take it and you take the thread through the back and put it through. You can see better than what I'm telling you. Then you're going to cut it. And these scissors were not the right scissors. I don't know what I was thinking, but they were not cutting. So anyway, so then I'm just going to tie a knot. And you just take whatever, the 2 strands that are left over, and you can, put them underneath. You can do whatever. But I just tie knots until it's tight, and that's all I did with that. That's the way that I bound this one. Again, you can bind it however you want to. You can use the rings from the Dollar Tree. It does not matter. So that's what it looks like, and then you just kind of bend it to loosen it up. And this is when I realized I didn't tie it, and I should have tied it, but I didn't, and I got the good scissors. But I fixed it. I just went ahead and tied it after the fact, and I don't know if I showed that or not because I had to stop the camera, but I opened it and the strand was right there, so I just went ahead and kind of poked it through and made a really small knot. So there was that. Anyway, then I took my binder clips out and just going to show you kind of what the pages look like there. And again, you're going to have to like loosen it up a little bit. It's going to be really tight to begin with, but you know, it works great, and you can write in there, you can use stickers, you can put pictures, you can do whatever you want. And then the last piece of the puzzle here is my stickers. And if anybody knows me, they know these are all these are just some of my Dollar Tree, not all, some of my Dollar Tree stickers. Then I'm just going to I picked this one because I've been wanting to use these little pop-up stickers, and I haven't used them. And I really love how I don't know, they just look kind of vintage, and I just like the way that they look. So I was trying to decide which ones I wanted to use, and I ended up using the first ones that I picked out because I just really like them. So I went ahead and I decided to put them on that front cover there. And I know the lighting is kind of funky, but again, it's because the white is just like soaking up that, or reflecting all that light. But I'm just going to go ahead and stick the stickers on there. And guys, that is it. I decided not to use like the little window part of it, like the scenery in the window. I'm going to use that for something else, but be very careful if you use these stickers because they do tear pretty quickly. And generally, if you want to use these on like a little venue, or not a venue, but like in a little window, what are those things called? Those little shadow box, those shadow boxes, you would fold the little shutters out and it'll look like an actual window. These things are so cute. But guys, that's it. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick these on there, and that is it. Be sure to check out the playlist, check out everybody's channel. Chantel, thank you so much for having me participate and asking me to participate in this challenge. It was so much fun, and I can't wait till next time. And guys, that's it. Until next time, be blessed and be the reason someone smiles. Bye.